Welcome to Running in the 70s, where we interview, meet, and get to know athletes of all kind who were running in the 70s. I'm your host, Matthew Kleinowski. You can't fit Lazarus Lake into just one episode, so we split it into two. Here is part 2 with Lazarus Lake, Gary Cantrell, Ultrarunning Hall of Fame member, creator of the Barkley's Marathon and the Backyard Ultra. Enjoy. Today on the podcast, we're in Tennessee with the 24th member of the Ultrarunning Hall of Fame. He's a legend. He's got a lot of names and nicknames. One of my favorites, some people call him the Da Vinci of pain. But he is not all just about pain. He's about inspiration and a long career, giant impact on the sport of running and ultra running. Today, welcome on the podcast, Lazarus Lake. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning. I hardly recognize the introduction. We don't deal in pain here, but there may be some discomfort involved.
I want to ask you about that idea of adaptability and you with the family competitive gene moving into all this race directing. How does that factor into how you organize this and how you deal with the personalities of ultra runners?
Ultra runners don't have any more personalities than anybody else. You always deal with people's personalities. I don't guess I really think of there as being anything special you do. The field for the Barkley, it's a very select group of runners. They don't all have the world-class chance to finish, but they all have a lot of skins on their wall. There's a bunch of things that go together in how it works. The trail itself can handle, based on us going out after the race over the years and really seeing what happened, that we can handle X number of loops without having a permanent impact on the trail. Then we look at the campground. Since now everybody has a crew, because anyone that's going to run, everybody they know wants to come and be the crew so they can be there. So they're limited. You have one person and one crew. And so we can take 40 people in the campground. It's overcrowded since we're all there for a mutual goal, and we have a lot of commonality to what we're wanting to do and the routine and schedule we'll be following. So we squeeze the 80 people into the campground. But if you had 40 top runners, it would be too many laps.
Right.
We want to give the maximum number of people an opportunity that we can. And it really works out good that you can look back across this and you can say, this guy's too old. He's not going to make it. Or this guy, the different reasons that you think most people don't have all those magic qualities that you think they can make it. So you can get and have variety of people. We break the field down into 50% North America, 50% the rest of the world. It's this percentage of elite, meaning people whose background indicates they have a chance to finish the 50, or the 100, the full 5 loops, all the way down to the people that you think, yeah, he's 67. He'll be really lucky to finish one loop. But when you add all these loops together, it comes in within the number of loops that we want in the course. You don't do a perfect job of categorizing them. John Fegge was, from the movie's fame, was a guy you had pegged that maybe he had the potential to do a fun run. Well, he didn't. He finished the whole thing. And then you have other people you think, oh, they could do a fun run, or they can make a run at the 100 and up there, and they don't have all of the skill sets that they need. And they get out there and they struggle to make it a late.
No, obviously, there's no exact description of someone who runs the Barkley or finishes the Barkley. Now we've got tens of thousands of people going to big international marathons. How competitive is it to get into the races, let's say the Barkley or the Jim?
The Barkley, before the movie, it would never accommodate all of the people who wanted to run. The movie hadn't made it better. But the number of serious applicants really, on a scale of things, didn't change that much. I've had a lot of people, and this seems to be really the year for it, that came and said, that movie is what inspired you. I meet them at ultras, and they're running ultras, especially the BFC, the Fall Classic. And they say, oh, that movie was what inspired me to run ultras. Now they've become an accomplished ultra runner, and they say that the funny thing is, along the way, it's no longer a race I want to run because I realized I couldn't finish it.
Wow, yeah.
But it broke down the barrier mentally to saying, I could do that. I want to do that. And then, of course, something that you look at from the outside and aspire to, when you're inside doing it, you find it's different than you thought. They find what they were looking for and doesn't have to be the Barkley, which is a good thing because there's only so much Barkley. But people will enter that will never get in because we put some randomness to it, but the numbers are just too big.
Yeah.
To have 100 every day for 25 years, but you can still only get half of them.
Yeah. With the computer and social media, you've been able to keep writing, not only for the magazine, but you're on Facebook is a great place. I think everybody needs to follow you and just enjoy your daily musings. I think you probably picked up a lot of followers with the last Continental thing. And let's talk about the LasCon, the first. How did you come to decide I'm going to cross the country?
People ask that, and I'm unable to fathom the question. Have you not ever seen a map? The moment that there's an ocean here, an ocean there, and it's 3,000 and something miles in between with roads, it seems like the first thing that would pop into your head is, oh, that would be so cool. I want to run all the way across.
There's a difference between the idea popping in your head and then actually doing it. And that's
Oh, always wanted to do it, always intended to do it. And the years passed by, and a couple of years before I actually did the first one in 2018, I got a nagging injury to my heel that I wrestled with for a year. I went for a long time that I did 2 miles a day. I did 1 mile until the pain got so bad I couldn't stand it, and 1 mile back because that was the only way to get home. And I thought about it. After enough time went by, I thought, I'll never fix this. Finally went to an actual real doctor instead of trying to concoct my own cures. And it was just a simple set of Achilles stretches, got rid of it in less than 2 weeks. I'm always the brightest guy, but I thought during that, I said, I shouldn't keep putting off the Transcon out into the future. So I thought, I don't have the time. I don't have the money to do it, but it's going to take a while to plan and train. if I plan and train and I get to that point where I'm ready to go and I just can't afford it or don't have the time, then I won't get to do it. But if I get to that point and I come up, once you start, you probably get there. I'll probably find a way to do it. If I don't plan and train, then I definitely won't. I plan to train and think place. And an old friend that I've run with for many years, who was far older than me, made a contribution that got my funding up to the point where I could do this. So in 2018, I went across. It was the highlight of my life as an athlete, because that's really far. It doesn't sound like much. It was about 3,700 miles, and that's really far. Hell, I finished the last 500 miles. The last 500 miles, I had a torn labrum. My legs were so shot that I would start out and think, what propels them? What keeps them going? It's just your head. Your legs will go as far as your mind makes them.
Okay. So you did it. You went through that. You came to that place of you're just doing it every day. It's your mind over your body. And then this year you decided to do it again the other way.
I planned it out. As you get closer to your terminal point, the amount of money you have left for retirement. And because I failed to actually retire, I still haven't been spending my retirement. I'm more likely to put a little more in because I don't have a very expensive lifestyle. So I was going to do it again, and I knew I would be slower. I calculated that in, and I did the training, and I really thought I could make the distance. But every day I was a little bit short. And of course, my route selection probably didn't help. I hit West Virginia right off the bat. And yeah, I know you've always heard that West Virginia is really flat. But that isn't actually a fact. You could put the flat part of West Virginia would fit on a gnat's ass.
Let's talk about mileage to just put this in perspective for people. Originally, it was 30 some miles a day, and you knew you were going to be lower in the 20s this trip, right?
Yeah, I knew I would be a lot less. And I had committed to sitting down every night for an hour to write about what happened that day. Anyone who's done it can tell you they went in with the idea of keeping a journal. It's the first idea you have to scrap, because that you find out a transcon consists of 24 hours every day. This year, I'm coming out 1 or 2 miles short every day of what I need. It's not very far, and it's not like I couldn't walk 1 or 2 more miles. But all 24 hours are used. If I walk 2 more miles, then I have another hour before I stop, and an hour later when I get to eat, and an hour later when I get to a room, and an hour later when I get in bed. You have to get your sleep if you're going for months on you. You could do a few weeks, maybe, on a sleep deprivation, but you can't go that long. So you can just get so much in a day. And I couldn't get enough, and I miscalculated everything. And I told people I knew there's a range of distances. I thought I could cover this much, but being conservative, maybe this much. As you go further along to a wider and wider space you'll be in, I had lined up crews. Pretty soon I was too far away for the crews to come get me. I was using too much time. The whole schedule fell apart. I can look ahead and see. And they did have early snow in the western mountains, the ones on the California-Nevada border, the Sierras.
Sure.
They had early snow on the Sierras, so I wouldn't have got through the pass I planned to cross through. So I tried everything I could think of to get enough miles, and just couldn't do it. You adjust, and I looked, and I said, I really wanted to go to visit my parents' graves on the way across. and then the Andy Payne statue in Foyle, which is only a few miles further. So I set that as my new stopping point and went to that point and stopped. And by the time that you actually stopped, your brain is already thinking, okay, how can I break up the rest of this trip? Because the trip itself is special. There's lots of stuff to see and places to go. So I don't think it's over.
Right. Talked about how I can do some next chunks. This interesting to me how much you have to think about time. And we all think about time. Sometimes it just passes and we don't think about it. You're thinking about it all the time and planning and doing, and certainly your daily writing, meditations, poetry, whatever we want to call it, of your day to day during this most recent con. I really encourage people to go back and read as many as they can, seeing what's out there through your eyes on what will happen if you see a stranger, you get some encounter with a person or a piece of nature, or just the solitude that you didn't expect. I really want to just thank you for all those moments. Now, you do a great job of sharing. Sometimes it's just you're talking about one moment or at the thoughts at the end of the day, looking at this 24-hour period, and I know what's coming, and staying in this period, and sometimes one line, we'll see what tomorrow brings. That's come up more than once in your journey. It's just a joy to go through with you vicariously.
I appreciate that because that's why I committed to write it. When I think, oh, if I do complete it, I'll pick it up with the commitment to write about what it's like to go on the rest. But it's pretty much, it's unexpurgated. It's whatever seems important at the time.
Your support teams and some of the people that show up just for one small bit and some people that are with you for longer stretches, how invested are they and how's that relationship change as they watch you? Sometimes we talked about pain not always being part, but there's a lot of pain, suffering, and how does that all work together?
I don't, I guess I don't remember any pain for the transcons in particular, but when you consider how debilitated I was at the end, yeah, people could confuse discomfort with pain. Pain is not something that really occurs that often, but we don't like to be uncomfortable. It's built in. It's a byproduct of evolution. In my view, we have evolved with thirst to tell us when we need water. We are fluids. We have hunger to tell us when we need food. We have, I guess you would just call it sleepiness, tells us we know when we need to sleep. Our biological requirements, we built in drives that run out of our brain to tell us to take care of. Over that 3 million years, it was never really necessary to build a drive for physical activity. Physical activity was guaranteed because it was the only way you could meet the other requirements. So instead, we have built into us really a desire for comfort, a desire for ease. And but that's not really adapted very well to a world where, hey, you have the potential to have comfort and ease 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and still supply yourself with fluids and food. And unlike when it's hot and you've been out doing your miles and you're really thirsty, you crave the water, you drink the water. It is great. When you've been sitting around the house for a whole day, you really just need to get up and get the blood flowing. You don't really have a desire to do that. I think every runner, surely, will tell you that the hardest part of every run is going out the door. When you get back, you feel great because it was what you needed. But and you still have the inclination to that comfort. And so we kind of redefine things, and we put a whole bunch of things under the category of pain that are really just mild discomfort.
So we haven't evolved to seek out discomfort. And yet you have accommodated and made it possible through your races for people to find all kinds of levels of discomfort and see what their limits are.
It's like the daily runs. Eventually you realize that once you get out the door, it's just going to get better and better. And people are driven. Every animal disperses. That's how they get to all the places they can be. That's why you see snapping turtles crossing the road, unfortunately, in the summer. We see bears periodically around here because the bear population is healthy, where there is actual habitat for bears. Then in their search for dispersal, bears wander out this way, wondering if there's a good place to live. They need to get the internet. They could Google it and not get run over. But that's another story. Teaching bears to Google.
I wanted to ask you also a little bit about you've coached, mentored lots of people. If the question makes sense, some people, as we've got the whole full range of personalities and people that get involved in your races, some of them view success and failure and completion probably different than you do. How do people come to you and say, okay, I failed. Okay, I didn't do what I wanted? Or do you play that role with some of these athletes before, during their insecurities or the results? What's your role in that as a race director and a mentor to people?
The role as a race director is easy. Provide a venue for people to find greatness in themselves, to make their own discoveries. It's the drive for exploration is what drives people to do these kind of races. We have a natural desire to explore the world and disperse ourselves, but there's not much of the physical world left to really explore. But there's unlimited inner space. One of the beauties of the backyard is they can go as far as they want to go as long as there's someone else to go there with them. Any of these races, you find out things about yourself, mostly in terms of finding out that you're a lot more than you thought you were. You start out and you're young and you look at it and you think, I could run across the whole country. And you spend enough time on your couch, you start to roll that back in. You think, yeah, I bet I could run across the state. And then, maybe across the county or across cities, or I think I want to drive to the mailbox. People, they sit and let their world shrink around them when the people that just get off can just make that first push. So these people already are driven to move on. Now you talk to people who are less experienced and you're more experienced. And you may have noticed that the world is increasingly populated with less experienced people. Matter of fact, almost everywhere you look, there's somebody doing a job that they're way too young for.
Right.
How can these people be doctors and policemen? They're just kids. So sometimes you're more reaffirming probably what's in their own mind. If any of that makes sense.
Of course it does. And your perspective on all this, is great. A lot of people who listen to this have been competitive runners or journalists across many decades, and we all go through these transitions with new insights gained, having experienced and then seeing a little bit of ourselves in all these people that are going through some things we did differently because the world changed along with us. What about the future? You're such a iconic figure and have affected so many people into the sport of ultra running, even if they've never participated in maybe one of your races, just seeing a movie about it or talking with you. What what is your tie to these races after we all move on and can't do it anymore?
I've been working with Carl Laniak on the Barkley, and then also the last annual races, the big long journey races, because I think that they're worth continuing. And obviously, everything is finite, and that includes us. But yeah, if you had something like the Barkley and it's worth going on, it's going to go on. But if I just go along until one day I can't do it or one day I die and then someone picks it up, it's a disjoint. So we started a few years back on the Barkley, and then he would work with me. We would do stuff together. Then I would hand pieces of the race preparation off to him so that he still had the benefit of all the years of experience, but on a really increased decisions. And I think it's the biggest thing that you have to get rid of some undesirable traits that people learn from their parents: empathy, uh, kindness. Well, once those useless characteristics have been ironed out, then you have someone that's a prospective race director for ultras. I think the Barkley will move smoothly on, and I'm doing less and less, and he just now has to learn how to take the selfies and drive off the spectators.
That's great. The change in the sport, how do you feel about you and your impact as opposed to just what you've gotten out of it? How do you reflect on the impact it's had on the running world, on the sport, and on individuals? We'll put it in, you watched the Olympics and you said, I have a dream. Can you relate to that? That's what these people are doing when they encounter the opportunities you provide.
If I hadn't done it, someone would have. It just turned out I was fortunate enough to get to be there for a lot of things. I look back, and my real career in sport is mostly an endless succession of failures, each of which you work around and find what you can do, that ended up with being that I'm a lot better at organizing events than I am as an actual athlete. I had more to offer as a coach than as a player. And maybe not at being able to achieve that level gave me a greater desire and impetus and maybe a different perspective on things than I would have had if I'd been successful. But if my very first sports dream had come true, I would have been the greatest linebacker in Oklahoma football history and probably played for the Packers. And no one today would even know my name, much less that I would actually be an active part. Other than the Transcon, which I consider to be a totally credible performance. I think I really never did anything great as an athlete, but I have been there to see so many athletes do great things. And I've been privileged to be a part of the process where that I made some contribution to that happening. But even if I was just there in the early days of ultra running, when there were so few of us that everybody knew each other and you knew people that are real legends who really did something.
It's a privilege to get to spend time with you, Gary. And I'm going to encourage everybody who uses Facebook to go out there and connect to Lazarus Lake and follow your writing, because that's a reach that's can be even further. And it's not just for runners. It's not just for ultra runners. It's not even just for athletes.
It's a variety of things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's personal. It's also very generous to share what's going on in your mind. It's a version of, for me, just to speak personally, it's like the best newsletter you can get every day to look out and just.
Oh,
And today you're going to go outside and hit the roads as you do every day, right?
I need to get 8 miles in today. The Transcon fell through, but I saw I was far enough along that I could get, this would be my 19th 3,000 mile year. So I got the 3,000 miles and I thought I was ready to coast to the end of the year. And then I realized it was remotely possible, if I focused on it, that I could get to 3,660, which this is a leap year. So that's 10 miles a day. And there's not that many years where I've averaged 10 miles a day for the whole year. So I've sat down my little programs in my Excel logbook, so that I get the daily feedback. Right now I need 6.90 miles a day for the rest of the year to get 3,660. I'm hoping to get 8 today, which would cut that down to about 6.86, 6.85. I won't know till I actually get the mileage in. I'm just over 8 miles past a 7 mile a day average being enough. So I'm building a cushion, because when you look at your calendar, you've got Big Dog's Backyard Ultras coming up in a week and a half. And I'm not going to get squat for miles during that. So I have to build up a cushion. So you build this mental image and you have all this daily feedback that shows how you're moving the needle back and forth. And it's touch and go with all the things that we've got to do a couple of days drive on the last annual Heart of the South road race course. And we've got, and then probably a third day that I'll do where I needed to check up. It's too big of a piece for us to do in the 2 days we had available. So I've got to have another day somewhere. And I'm thinking, is that remaining piece of a size where I could do it on foot? And somewhere in here, if I'm going to get to the 3660, I feel like I need a big day where that I go out and do at least 25 or 30 miles.
I'm always thinking about time down to the second decimal point. So it's great to get to spend time with you talking about all this, Gary. And good luck with all these races. The Big Backyard Ultra will be on just about when this gets out. But I'll encourage everybody, if there are people who haven't seen the movie, read your stories, there are many articles written about you, Wikipedia for an intro, and subscribing to Lazarus Lake on Facebook is just what I recommend for everybody. What's the last things you're going to be doing now? Just give us an insight into a race director of such a worldwide event. What's going to happen? What do you got to do now? Just a glimpse between now and the next 10 days.
It's a mix, because it's trying to accommodate all the things for the broadcast. Almost every race will have their own live stream. And we're doing a broadcast. We got Fabian Duflos and his team coming in because they're the best. We'll broadcast, we'll be live streaming from the U.S. team and broadcasting over this 63 team competition around the world. It goes up and down. When an athlete drops, a country starts to fall. When someone else stays in. So it's very, very volatile and dynamic how the scoring goes. And most of those we learned the last time around, they'll be doing their own live streams. We're going to offer them, hey, most live streams, they like show the start finish. And there's a start and there's excitement. And then people wander off and you're just looking at an empty spot, that we could let them put their live stream part in and then use our broadcast to fill the dead airspace. Everybody wins. We get more viewers and they get more viewers because it's not just once an hour something's happening. And we're going to see how, if all that can work out. And roster changes, thank God, end in another week. Most of the people, when you get in the 24-hour and plus people that have really a lot of the exciting thing about these, the backyard championships is athletes get most of the people on this team, on these teams, they've spent 2 years qualifying so they could earn that spot on the team. Some of the smaller countries, you get a part of the team, it's just a thing they can just do because it's there. So they're on and off the roster a lot easier. The ones at the top are only off the roster if they get hurt. And then they're crushed. But 64 teams, almost 1,000 athletes. So every time one of them changes, you got to go in and juggle it around. Thank God that ends this Saturday. Figuring out, setting up the venue here and putting on our national race. I have to keep reminding myself, I have to take care of our team more than the others because I take care of them completely. The other races are going to occur. I'm only worried that they've got their stuff for the scoring and keeping all the pieces together. Of course, every day you look and there's more backyard ultras joining. It's truly madness.
Well, it's truly a great legacy. It's something that I believe will last on and just make more people's lives a good chance to find the discomfort they want in their lives.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Continue my lifelong goal of creating discomfort for people.
It's fantastic. It's just a pleasure and a comfort to talk to you. And I look forward to following whatever's going on in your mind every day on your journals. And maybe we'll check in again at some more milestones of these races as they progress and more things happen. I just love the idea if this can help spread the word of people to discover you or to find out a little bit more insight to you. Thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate you having me on here, and hopefully it will. Some of these things, the backyards, I think is a worthwhile thing that needs to get enough impetus to survive without me because I'm finite. Hey, I hope you enjoyed another episode. Do you have someone you'd like to hear interviewed on the podcast? You can leave a comment on the YouTube channel or on the website, running70s.com. That's running70s.com. Let me know what you think of the episodes and anyone, including yourself, you'd like to hear interviewed. I hope you enjoyed another episode of Running in the 70s. Voices, stories, and memories of athletes who were running in the 70s. Until next time, wherever you are, keep looking forward and don't forget to look back.